Smile, camera, action. Hi, my name's Jackie Hole. I'm a singing teacher, vocal coach and performer. I'm based in the UK.
And I'm Michael Hill, and I'm also a vocal coach and singing teacher based in the UK.
So we're here to start a new vocal channel called That Singing Show, where we hope to give you some singing hints and tips, help you improve your technique and talk about what's going on in the industry. So we've been trawling bookshops for vintage singing books, really, I guess, to see what they've got in them, because there's quite a lot of old style teaching that's still very relevant today. So Michael has been looking at some particular books. He's going to share his insights with you.
Yep. So the first one I found was The Phenomena of the Belt Pop Voice by Jan Sullivan. This is a really interesting book. It was written in 1985, or published in 1985, and apparently Jan at the time was a voice teacher in a faculty in Colorado.
Right.
And she was a bit of a pioneer, well ahead of her time, because she was teaching belting, healthy belting, at a time when a lot of the vocal tuition out there was still very much of the opinion that classical was the best,
right,
or
okay.
the healthiest. Now, thanks to the world of voice science, we know that any technique can be done in a healthy way, and there's a lot more research into belting. But Jan came up with some really fascinating stuff, particularly about vowel modification,
Right.
which we now know a lot about thanks to voice research. So, for example...
Well, before we get into that part, can you just explain what belting is? What is belting?
So belting is, well, there are lots of definitions. In Jan's book, she says it's a sound produced by a vocal mechanism in which the larynx is slightly higher than the classical voice and the vocal cords are held tightly together for a longer period of time than in other types of singing. There's also people like Lisa Popeil who talk about belting being taking your talky voice higher. She's an American voice researcher. There's Joe Estill's research into belting as a higher larynx, thicker fold sound.
Yep.
And of course Complete Vocal Technique, who recently published a paper about the vocal modes overdrive and edge as refiners of belting, so trying to break it down into different categories vocally. So there are lots of definitions out there, but I think most people agree that it's basically calling on pitch.
Exactly. Well, I looked on Wikipedia and essentially it says belting is a technique of singing by which a singer mixes the proportions of their lower and upper resonances, resulting in a sound that resembles yelling. So it's actually controlled yelling or controlled shouting, which you'll hear when we sort of move further into the examples.
Yeah, so it's something we all do every day and we don't even think about it. You see your friend across the street and you go, "Hey!" and you make a big, loud, powerful sound. But often it seems a bit alien to apply it into singing, and we get many singers, right, that come in and they're scared of doing it and they don't know how to do it.
Yeah, because it's noise. You sound louder. It's quite shocking when you first hear yourself making such a loud noise, but actually it's not that loud to the audience. It's only when you start to really yell, instead of controlling that yell, that you may come into some kind of trouble.
Yeah, and there are certain different rules that come into play, and this book, again, The Belt Pop Voice by Jan Sullivan, she talks about the importance of vowel modifications, and voice science has shown this to be really important in recent years, but actually we all probably knew this anyway. When you go to a football match, how do people yell at a football match?
Oi!
Yeah.
Hey! Who's the ref?
Yeah, exactly. So people go, "Oh, eh, oh, eh, oh, eh, oh, eh." They don't go, "Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, ooh-wee, ooh-wee," because it doesn't work. There's no power in those vowels. So she obviously knew this and had researched this, and she talks about the importance of directing vowels as we go higher in the voice. So importantly, just looking up the page in the book, she talks about and a as really important belt vowels. And if you look up other techniques, again like CBT, if you look up edge, the vowel recommendations for that vocal mode go in that direction. In other techniques they also talk about these as belting vowels. Ingo Tietze, the American voice researcher, talks about and a as belting vowels.
So A as in E-H-A.
Yep.
A.
And a like...
Ah! I'm just hit
Like
my
cat.
thumb with a hammer. Ah!
Yeah, that one. Or like a baby screaming.
Wah!
Exactly. So these sounds, again, when we apply them to songs, give us more chance to get that thrilling, belty sound. So let's try it in practice.
So we went onto Google and looked up some songs that people consider to be belting songs. We've got a few examples that we're going to try for you. Which would you like to start with?
I think let's start with Let It Go, just to ease you in gently.
Okay, so a nice easy one to start off with. Let It Go, here we go, got it here. So the chorus. So let it go.
Yeah. So what could be tricky there, for example, is the O could get a bit less bright, a bit less belty sounding.
Let it go, let it go. So it sounds like I'm pressing if I do the O. Let it go, let it go. You can hear that it's starting to become, it's not hard, but it's gonna press too much. So what should I do to change that?
So it feels like too much effort when you sing it the way the words are written.
I kind of think I'm coming up to oh, and my whole body is just wanting to tense up.
Tense up, yeah. So in that case, now it seems silly when you speak the words on these new vowels, but when you sing them, it sounds really cool. So if you change the O towards E and say let it ge,
Let it go.
you might sound like Cartman from South Park when you
Okay.
speak,
Let
but
it go.
when you sing it, it might sound a lot, it might feel a lot easier.
Okay, so let it go. Let it go, let it go.
Yeah.
Really easy, gosh,
Super.
really, yeah, much easier to do it that than. So instead of going oh, we're going eh, but we can't necessarily sing it like that because it might sound a bit not right.
I think it sounds not too
Bit
shabby
like-
at the moment.
A bit like Never Enough, where people are very annoyed about the bit at the end, which changes to air.
Ah, okay.
So how would we, talking about vowel modification, how might we modify that back to being more like the O than the N?
Well, one of the things she talks about is that there's a combination of vowels as we go higher. So it's kind of an image, really.
Okay.
But she talks about in this, as you go higher, if there's a E, like feed, which can feel a bit narrow for singers. When you go higher, if you have a combination of E and E, like E from sit, and E like stay.
So I.
Yeah.
Let it. So I.
Yeah.
So not let it go. It's Is it? Really easy. Yeah, much easier.
Yeah. Because if you go too far towards E, it might feel too difficult.
How about the end ones?
Done.
Done. Yeah, so so very easy. Much easier for me, I should say.
Yeah. We were talking about Never Enough.
Okay, Never Enough.
So, because there are words, for example, in Never Enough, where she sings for me on the very high part. Now, for me, it could sound a bit too far from the lyrics to just go to eh. The big belty songs we hear today, like Never Enough from The Greatest Showman, if you know the song, you know that as it comes up to the chorus, or the big build-up at the end of the chorus, she sings for me in 3 different pitches, going up to a high note. I think it's like a D sharp or something.
So doing on the
Yeah.
Never enough.
How's it feel?
Is that how you mean?
Yeah. So, but then she goes for me,
For me,
and then the high one.
for me.
Yeah.
It feels a bit pressy, so is that why she does them air? For me. It is actually much easier.
Yeah. See, Jan knows her stuff in this book.
For me, for me.
Yeah.
For me, for me.
Great.
Really, really much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, it is quite far from the spoken pronunciation of the word me, but it sounds great, feels easier, and people hear the word because
Yeah.
they hear a free sound instead of something that's a bit pushed or tight.
Yeah, it feels free, and I'm prone to pushing quite a lot with the too much tension. So this is really useful. So other ones we've got here, old school, Great Love of Ball, but Chandelier is one that lots of singers always want to sing.
Is that your hit to the beat
1,
move,
2,
Jackie?
3, 1, 2, 3. So I
Yeah.
wanna sing from the chandelier, from the chandelier. Really easy.
Yeah. That'll be £500, Jack.
Thank you. If you look online for male belt songs, there's some threads that say men can't belt, which is of course not true. So it's going to be the same for men as it is for women. So why don't we have a look at some male belting, Mr. Michael?
So, the main thing again is that when we get quite narrow vowels like E and Oo, they can be tricky to make loud. So take a word like B. If I was going higher in that and trying to be loud, and I go B, it feels a little bit held.
Okay.
So, just for practice, I can go and open the vowel up, make it a lot wider, go to an E. So, B! And it feels easy peasy.
Cool.
And I even got a little bit of gospel jaw in there.
Yeah.
Did you see that, Jackie? Love a bit of gospel jaw.
But obviously in a live situation it's completely different, and one of the reasons I'm prone to perspiration or a lot of subglottal pressure is because when you're live you're kind of ready for action, you get a bit tense. So sitting in a chair, standing up in a lesson, you're not in such a pressured environment unless you're really nervous. So if you were to practice this on your own at home, what should you do?
If we take some tips from this book and from other vocal techniques about vowel modification, then it's a good idea to write out the lyrics, look at where the high notes are and what vowels they're on, and see which ones could be difficult.
Okay.
And quite often, E's, Oo's, O, Ah, they can be quite hard to get a belty sound on. So find the nearest bright vowel that you can direct it to. Some sort of shade, as Jan Sullivan says here, of E or A.
So should I walk around my house going ah to every song? E e e e. Is that a good way of getting into the belt sound? Why is that funny?
You could do that if you want, Jackie. I think the police would probably come and get you.
But is that a good way to practice? Is just actually singing the song on the vowels?
Yeah, definitely, because it takes some of the other things that we need to worry about, the other consonants and things like that, away from the equation, and then you can just focus on the sound you want. And even something that sounds a little bit strange in your speaking range, in a high pitch, can sound really free and natural.
Okay.
So, if you're interested in exploring belting in your own voice, then bear in mind nothing should ever feel uncomfortable or strain or tickle in any way when you're practicing. So take care of yourself. But also, if you're in doubt, there are many great voice teachers out there who can help you find the sound you want to make in a healthy way. But also, just like we've always done growing up, imitating people, listening to people, listen to the great belting singers, people like Barbra Streisand, Whitney Houston back in the day, Shaka Khan, and nowadays people like Demi Lovato who've got incredible, thrilling, belty high notes. And just listen to what they're doing, and hopefully you'll hear that they do subtly bend vowels in order to get that really big sound in their voice. So listen to them, have fun exploring it, and yeah,
Exactly.
happy belting.
And watch the volume, because if you're singing too loud, then you're going to be pushing too hard. So you might come out of a happy place and end up straining. So get to know your own voice and be very aware of what works for you with regards to volume and technique, because it's going to be different for every person whereabouts they end up with that vowel modification. So to sum up, belting controlled shouting. How do we find it? We find it using vowels like
a.
Yep. And vowel modification is just moving the word that you're singing slightly more towards those kind of sounds, the a and the e, in order to get yourself in the right setting so that you can actually sing those notes more effectively. And it's particularly relevant on higher notes.
Yep. So have fun, get in touch with us if you've got any questions, and if you've got any requests for videos that you'd like us to do, then we're always open to hearing from you, and we'll see you next time.
And don't forget to follow us, like us, and subscribe to our channel.